We're talking to the most successful and best-selling classical artist since 1997, Andrea Bocelli. The interesting thing about you is that you've sold 50 million albums, yet not everybody knows of Andrea Bocelli. Your success is almost quiet, isn't it? Certainly when you compare to someone like Madonna, who has huge fame but hasn't sold as many records as you in the last 10 years.
Well, no, now I think that many people know me because I see when I walk on the road, but nobody can compete with Madonna's fame.
And presumably, from what you said earlier, you wouldn't want that kind of exposure, fame, and public interest anyway.
No, absolutely no.
Okay, let's move on and talk about touring, because a cousin of mine saw you last year and said it was one of the most moving experiences of her life. And she said what was most compelling for her was the fact that all the men in the audience were crying at certain parts in the show. How do you manage to get that kind of emotion into your show via the music and touch the hearts so passionately of those who come and see you?
Well, also the men can cry. Also, if my father, when I was a child, told me always, a man doesn't has to cry, never. But instead of, it's not true. The man can cry, especially for emotions. I think it's my character. I'm very. I have the passion in my heart.
In terms of your career, it really couldn't be going better right now. There's been a resurgence of classical music, almost crossing into pop. Il Divo, G4, Russell Watson have all had huge albums in the last year. Why do you think it's suddenly so popular to sing the classics again?
I know today there is the people likes to do crossover. But I don't like this because classical and pop music are two different languages, and I absolutely want to respect both the language and not to mix the things.
I totally understand what you're saying, but surely by making an album with Stevie Wonder, with Kenny G and Christina Aguilera, as is the case with the new Amora CD, you are crossing the boundary from the classics into pop.
No, it's not crossover because with them I sing in pop music. There is nothing in the style or in my voice of the tenor. Yeah, because also in pop music there are many different styles, and Christina's style is different to my style, and we have also two different audience, and it's nice to sing together just for this.
I just love this record with Christina Aguilera because she's such a talent. It was interesting in the late 90s when there was all that furore between her and Britney, who was the most talented. Anybody who saw them both perform live could work out which one had the most extraordinary voice. What was it like working with her, and why did you want to work with her?
When I heard Christina the first time, I was in America in a car, and I was listening to the radio, and at a certain moment I heard an angel singing, and I asked to the driver, who is this angel? And he told me Christina Aguilera. From seems the time I decided to sing with her.
But the problem is, Andrea, you've sold 50 million albums, you've been #1 in the classic charts since 1997. Where do you go from there? When you're at the top, it's hard to know what to do next, isn't it?
My goal is to make a long holiday now. I'm tired because I work a lot and I fly a lot, and because I suffer in the plane because I'm worried. But it's okay. It's my job.
You don't like flying?
No, absolutely. I'm worried and stop. I don't know. We are too high.
That's right. It's just completely unnatural, isn't it, to be that high off the ground? I mean, you've flown in to do this interview today. It's one of 2 interviews that you're doing this year, full stop. You've had to fly in for it. You've got to fly back. Same with the tours. If you want to go anywhere, you've got to fly. Would you prefer just staying at home and not having to do interviews like this, and even not having to tour and just let the CDs and your live shows in Italy do the talking?
Do I have to be very honest? I wouldn't like to. I never want to speak. It's better to sing. and to listen the music.
So therefore, with you being so shy, how do you cope with the live tours and standing in front of 20, 30, 40 or even 50,000 people like you do on regular occasions?
I have to be convinced to be in good shape, and I don't think. I go.
There must be so many things you're thinking about when you're doing these live shows, from the lighting to the scenery, not to mention remembering your words. Is the only thing you worry about your voice in the orchestra, or do you worry about all the other things as well?
It's the first condition, because otherwise it's impossible to sing. It's always to sing in theater without amplification. It's the best way to listen a voice. But when we want to listen music all together with many people, it's the only solution is the big arena, and the system of amplification has to be the best possible.
Is it still exciting and a thrill for you doing the live shows now?
Well, the condition to be excited is to be able to do good music.
This may seem like a bit of a sarcastic question, and I don't intend it to be. If you hadn't have had all the fame and success around the world, and you just have had 10 albums selling 50 million copies, and you didn't have to do the interviews and the tours, would you have been happier with that than the way it is now?
Probably yes, because my goal is to leave albums and recording with operatic music, operas, and many things. But it's very important also the contact with the audience, because if the audience don't know you, and you can't to achieve their heart.